We started the conversation with organizations and efforts that are really linked to digital inclusion, internet, computers, and training. We now want to place that within a broader ecosystem around how are we getting youth engaged in technology with a pathway towards industry? How are we developing smart cities and smart regions to really make digital inclusion fit into the larger innovation happening with our region? So to get that piece of the conversation kicked off, I'd invite Kirsten Lundgren, who is doing amazing work at TechHire in Oakland. So come on up, Kirsten.
Hi, everyone. My name is Kirsten Lundgren, and I'm leading TechHire Oakland based out of the Kapor Center Innovation Lab. As Seth was just mentioning, all of the work that was just presented really lays the groundwork for a pipeline of individuals who we hope can really penetrate tech talent development pipelines that we're nurturing across Oakland and the East Bay. How many of you have heard of the National TechHire Movement? Show of hands. Okay, great. So back in the glory days, Obama announced the National TechHire Movement. What's that? Back in the glory days, Obama announced the National TechHire Movement, which is still alive and thriving across 70 cities that are building out inclusive tech talent development pipelines and crowding in tech companies that care about hiring locally and supporting local residents in their employment pathways. And we're a coalition of different partners that are based at the Kapor Center. For those of you who don't know, the Kapor Center is based at 22nd and Broadway. Beautiful facility that houses amazing resources around. There's Kapor Capital, which is basically funding seed stage ventures that are solving for some sort of gap in tech for good. And then there's also a community engagement programmatic foundation piece that is really broad in terms of creating events that are looking at what inclusive tech looks like, also research both nationally, regionally, and in Oakland on what inclusive tech looks like, and also social impact funding for the community here in the East Bay. So I wanted to give a shout out to some of my colleagues, Meghna Megnavan and Tiffany Price, who are in the audience today on the community engagement team. And they're all involved in some really exciting initiatives that to me are just the beating heart of what inclusive economic development looks like. That's really centered around tech entrepreneurship and really crowding in a number of entrepreneurs of color in particular, and other underrepresented entrepreneurs who are looking to create a tech-driven startup in Oakland. That's the Oakland Startup Network. On the second floor of the Kapor Center, we also have the Kapor Innovation Lab that is incubating tech startups as well as tech nonprofits, also solving for some sort of social impact issue in Oakland and the East Bay. And the really interesting interconnection is in this space, we're trying to develop a model in which as these companies grow and get more support, they can start to source talent from the community and really create that intersection to jobs. That's the Kapor Center in a nutshell. I encourage you all to visit. So a lot of the work that we do is really around ecosystem facilitation and systems design for the tech talent development ecosystem. And we're really lucky in Oakland and the East Bay because we have this rich ecosystem of training partners that are a combination of nonprofit CBOs like the David E. Glover Center that really have amazing reach directly into neighborhoods and know our communities very deeply. We also have community colleges that are an amazing untapped resource that are highly overlooked by companies. We're working very closely with them. I know Berkeley City College is here in the audience today. And then also boot camps that are doing a lot of work to really skill people up to an advanced stage level. So this is just Oakland alone. I mean, this is really incredible. It's over 20 different training partners that are upskilling people in what we're really defining as emerging tech. We're finding that so often our most marginalized communities are being relegated to the fringes of the innovation economy. And so these tech pathways that are called out software engineering, DevOps, which is really the future of IT as automation comes into play, UI, UX, digital media, advanced manufacturing, and then sales and manufacturing, or sorry, sales and marketing. These are all more lucrative pathways that we feel are more sustainable for members of our community. So I actually wanted to take things a step back. The guy on the left here, Abel Regalado, he's one of our TechHire Oakland talent members. He has an incredible story, and we've mapped his journey. Basically, he's an immigrant from Mexico. His family came over. He was raised by a single mom. And basically, he's been in and out of OUSD, moving back and forth between Mexico and Oakland. And you can see his journey through our training ecosystem in Oakland. It's very convoluted because there is such a significant number of exposure training partners and sort of a gap between where those exposure training partners take or leave off and where advanced training that is affordable picks up. There's really a dire shortage of advanced training options that are affordable for our community that can get people into jobs. So we're really trying to fill those gaps, but you can see he jumped around to a number of free training programs, Hack the Hood, Mission Bit, Oakland Public Library, ended up rotating around the Peralta Community College District for quite some time. And then through TechHire Oakland was able to access a full scholarship to Hack Reactor, which we believe will help launch him into a software engineering career path. So I guess the point with this is a best case scenario of somebody who is highly motivated on his own to navigate our ecosystem. TechHire Oakland exists to really help people who need that extra support to guide them to lucrative pathways in tech. And so we're taking an ecosystem approach where we provide talent with training referrals, mentoring, job-based learning. It's often not just a case of you take one training program and then you can jump into a job right away. It can often take up to 6 months to a year. So it's the right sequence of training programs that can get you where you need to be. And so we're mapping that out with a lot of our ecosystem players. Mentoring, we provide mentoring with from people who share sort of a shared lived experience as the people we're trying to mentor. You can really speak to their needs. So we do a lot of mentoring by people of color for people of color. And then lastly, we've been developing some really exciting job-based learning opportunities, internships, which are 3 months or less, and people usually go back to school afterwards, and then apprenticeships, which is a really exciting space that's developing in tech, where people usually spend 6 or more months at a company, and then they convert into a full-time role at the end. And then we're also working with our training service providers to build their capacity, make sure that they're also referring talent holistically across the training pathways that we've defined. Again, working with employers on workshops, internships, apprenticeships, and just tracking holistically what's happening for our ecosystem in terms of outcomes and making sure that people aren't just introduced to tech, they're making it all the way into a job. So we've spent a lot of time collecting data, working with both training partners and employers. We've spent about 6 months working with the employers listed up here, both to understand where their investments lie in Oakland. We've measured about $18 million in funding going to tech talent development in Oakland from a number of these companies. And many of them are not, it's not surprising, many of them are not talking to each other about where the money is going. A lot of it is reinforcing this like very heavy exposure level training, which is very important. But then it just reinforces this gap of what happens between exposure training and advanced level that gets people into jobs. Also, in terms of the actual job-based learning component, we've very selectively chosen employer champions that we believe are walking the walk when it comes to creating actual job entry pathways for talent. So they're doing more than just a classroom visit, which is extremely helpful. They're doing more than a field trip. They're doing more than providing a social impact grant. All these things are important. But they are actually creating a job entry pathway in terms of an internship or an apprenticeship. And so we have great partnerships with IDEO Collab, GitHub, LinkedIn, Twilio, Adobe, Ellie Mae, And this fall, we're hosting a series of workshops with each of those companies for our East Bay talent of color to be able to interact with key decision makers who are hiring at all these companies. And so far, it's been with pretty good results. This is a workshop we hosted with GitHub last month. This month, we're hosting a workshop with LinkedIn. And here are some of the exciting wins that we have to report just from the last couple of months. Abel, I had mentioned, has a full scholarship into Hack Reactor. Don Fountain, who was literally living on the streets previously, got a full scholarship to Coding Dojo and will probably be on his way into getting an apprenticeship soon. Sabrina McEwen is an Oakland resident. These are all Oakland residents. She has a fascinating story in that she is a survival entrepreneur who lost her business. It was a family childcare business during the recession. Ended up driving a bus for Lawrence Livermore Labs. All the engineers she was driving were saying, please, like, go do something you love, put your talent to good use. So she enrolled in a number of tech training programs in Oakland. And she landed an amazing paid fellowship with the renowned IDEO Collab, which is doing some amazing design work in emerging tech around blockchain, AI, virtual reality. And then lastly, Manisha Priyadarnishi just landed a great paid apprenticeship in tech sales at GitHub. And so this is just the beginning of the cohesive talent pipeline that we're trying to create. And we're definitely looking for additional opportunities to work with other East Bay employers. If you also know any talent that would benefit from any of our training partners, we provide those referrals in. But there are so many opportunities to get engaged and to really ensure that, again, some of our most vulnerable talent is on the cutting edge and creating and building, as Olivia has pointed out, and what they're doing at the David E. Glover Center, that's what Oakland can be known for, as a very radical place for, and the East Bay, a radical place for what tech inclusion